Hey guys, GWS here. Sorry that I haven't uploaded in a couple months, but I'm uploading now, and we're going to talk about Politicon. And there's two debates I want to talk about, two panels to highlight, and kind of one event that I'll touch on briefly. But first of all, Politicon as a whole, and I think this needs to be commented on. And let me just say, what an embarrassment! Politicon has been a very good place for political debates on the national stage between average people and decent sized following YouTubers and live streamers and famous personalities, even some in the media, because you're going to have Tucker. But this year is just an embarrassment. First of all, before Politicon, it was horribly organized as to who had what information and what that information said. And you had two people, both Kyle and David Packman, talking about how they were confused about Politicon's lineup and where they stood. Kyle was told he was going to debate Ian Coulter. Then he was told he was going to debate Charlie Kirk and Cassandra, whatever. I don't pay much attention to her, but um, yeah, the point is that they had information about that, and then David Packman was told he was going to be on a panel, and then the panel changed to somebody else in Roaming Millennial, and now he's part of a five-person panel that I think includes Roaming Millennial, where it's going to be 4-on-1 against her. I believe it's four liberals versus her, who's a kind of a conservative voice of the right wing. Embarrassing stuff. And then you get to the event itself. And you look at any stream of the event, like, you're thinking Politicon needs to be political discourse, right? So let me just ask this, maybe as a rhetorical question. Why, oh why, riddle me this, why, if you are trying to encourage political discourse, civil political discourse and debates, impassioned debates, but yet with decent political discourse, why in the hell are you allowing a gigantic Trump balloon, pictures of snowflakes, and all kinds of just politically divisive materials on your floor? Because when you're showing snowflakes and you're showing that, you are just perpetuating like the tribal left versus right thing, and that just kills discussion. Um, and this boils into the debates because in the two panels I watched, you had a lot of chaos. A lot of chaos. First of all, the Ian Coulter Ben Stein thing. That wasn't a debate as much as kind of like an interview by Ben Stein. I don't know if it was supposed to be a debate, but it pretty much just ended up being an Ian Coulter interview by Ben Stein. And I'll admit, Ben Stein, he got a lot out of Ian Coulter. I liked his lines of questioning, and she gave very substantive answers as to why she feels the way she does. So I will say good on Ben Stein. Good on him for keeping things civil and substance oriented. That is the way political discourse should be, whether he agrees or not. And that, that's what we got. We got probably more substance from Ann Coulter than in any of the debates she did. So for those saying that she should have debated Kyle, I got to give it to Ben Stein. He got more out of her than anybody. I just wish it would have been more of a debate format. It would have been better for that. But given that, I think Ann Coulter was able to make her points in a coherent manner without somebody shouting over her, mocking her as Anna Kasparian did last year, strawmanning, belittling, etc. Um, so you had that, and then, oh boy, you had the rematch between Charlie Kirk of Turning Point USA and Hassan Piker of the Young Turks. I encourage people to watch last year's debate too, um, because I think some of that boiled over into this debate. Because there was a very large shift in Charlie Kirk's attitude, and I don't think it benefited him in this debate. So let me just get that out of the way. Like, I think Charlie Kirk, he went too over the top with the anger. I felt like, maybe he did not feel he was able to get his point across as well last year, and he had to be more forceful. But he pretty much got dragged into the mud by Hassan Piker. So the debate itself was not benefit. The last year's debate was not great, but this year's debate was a shit show, pretty much. Let me just be honest about that. And like I said, this goes back to Politicon pretty much antagonizing both sides by allowing this politically divisive rhetoric. Um, and it led to a boil over where it was looking for a second like Cenk Uygur was going to run up to the stage and Charlie Kirk, they were literally going to get into a fight. But there were people holding Cenk back in the seats, and so that didn't happen, and thank goodness it didn't happen. But even the appearance of it, it just looked ugly. Now, who won that debate? And even though I did not like Kirk's attitude in this debate, I think he did a horrible job of appearing to be likable, appearing to have the more approachable, appearing to have approachable points. The fact is, Hassan Piker came with absolutely nothing. Like, for my criticisms of Charlie Kirk, he did bring his facts, he did bring his figures, and they were mostly accurate. Um, and Hassan Piker just brought nothing. Like, pretty much, this is how the debate went. Okay, now keep in mind, this is a debate about whether you want a regulated economy or a free market economy. That was kind of the framing of the whole debate. Charlie Kirk would make a point defending the free market style, free market platform, and criticizing regulations. And then Hassan Piker would pretty much, rather than argue for something, he was pretty much arguing with Charlie Kirk's idea the entire time. Hassan Piker, number one, provided no facts, figures, evidence to back up his claims. He pretty much was just blowharding the whole time. And number two, he didn't even make an attempt to defend his worldview. And even if you can debate that he did make an attempt, it's a very weak attempt because he was pretty much playing the defense, trying to mitigate Charlie Kirk's points while he is making none of his own outside of trying to mitigate. Like, Hassan Piker never came out with a positive vision of a regulated economy or a social market economy. At least he didn't in an elaborate way where he backed up what he said. Like, he would name drop, yeah, Norway, Sweden, etc., etc. But even this was just in response to Charlie Kirk. So I gotta say, um, again, don't like Kirk's attitude, and that does take away from his argument because it's like, you can't, like, when you just look like you're wanting to get into a physical confrontation, you're screaming about like how much you've done. It's like, this is not about you. This is about the political issues. This is not about how you live. This is not about how your vendetta against Hassan Piker or your vendetta against Cenk Uygur. This is about the issues, and that's the important thing. And going back to Politicon, it's like, when you have the Trump stuff, when you have the politically divisive stuff that you just allow just on the open floor, big old Trump balloon. It's like, that's just a constant reminder to people of how divided things are, and then you get people who are on the defensive, and it eggs people on. And same thing with the snowflake signs. You get a big old snowflake right in the middle of the floor. What a right wingers, ooh, we're left wing snowflakes, and then, left wingers are like, oh yeah, the snowflakes. It encourages the tribal stuff, and I think this spills over in the debates. It spills over into the audience questions. Um, And a lot of that, I didn't talk about the questions for Ann Coulter stuff, but that's where that kind of turned shitty. Was like you just had audience members yelling and screaming at Ann Coulter, not making a coherent point. And then the one that tried just didn't have the facts or the understanding, trying to compare healthcare to vouchers. And to Ann's credit, she did try to answer that as best as she could, but that's not really a big point because, as she pointed out, like we've already got government healthcare. So, this Politicon is, they could do better than this. This was just garbage. Like, are you for political discourse or are you just for the tribal mudslinging? And it's like, yeah, I take part in it too. I'm not saying I'm above the fray and, striking lightning down from Mount Olympus on these people. I'm part of it too. But it's like, you know, you want an environment that invites civil discussion because that's where you can change minds. That's where you can, you know, even if you don't change a mind, it's like, it's not even about changing minds. Like, what you want to do in politics is, like, at least understand your opponent's point. And I say that from a listening first perspective. When you're debating, when you're trying to talk to somebody, you're not reading like the Daily Caller or CNN or MSNBC watching the Young Turks, David Pakman. You're not watching Fox News or Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson. You are talking to a person, a human being, and that is your greatest opportunity ever. Like, you know, and I don't think people understand that enough. When you are in front of somebody, directly in front of them, staring eye to eye, with somebody who has disagreement with you on 80% of political issues that are, at least in the mainstream. It's like, they're a human being, and then the opposite of you, they're right there. Like, you don't have to look at the right wing perspective, they're right there. And it's like, listen. And I say that to both sides. And I think in this political discourse, we have gotten away from that fundamental idea. Debating somebody is not about how many words you can come out with, how great you think your ideology is in your own head. It's about listening and understanding your opponent. It's about understanding the person you're talking to. It's about convincing. It's not about convincing them of anything, but it's about understanding. And if you think that in their line of logic, in their perspective, in their skin, that maybe they would be better off with a lighter version of themselves or your version or, however aggressive you think you can shift their position, then it's like when they know you're going to listen to them and hear them out, that is your best chance to help somebody. And I say help somebody because it may not be your position, it may not be a lighter version of their position, but it helps them correct themselves to take a better position within their own perspective. I hope that comes off clear because that's the important thing. Is you're giving of yourself. You're not taking from somebody. Like they're here just like you are. Another human being. They eat they eat, sleep, and shit just like you do. We need to come to somehow, I don't even know how or if it could be done, but get to a point where we're just listening again. And that's going to come from a point that I don't know if we can get to it anymore because it's just, we've all vilified each other so much. And that brings me to the final thing about Politicon, and this is what really makes the event an embarrassment, is just the whole. Um, there was somebody at Politicon. I can't remember if I already said this, but they get kicked out because they they were at an MSNBC panel and they were crying about they were talking about like liberal tears or something. They were wearing MAGA hats, and then I guess they get kicked out for whatever reason. And then somebody, I don't know if it was Politicon staff or what, kidney punches one of the people and knocks him down. Now it's like I don't know if it was an exaggeration on his part or if Politicon staff is just being too violent, all that, but it's just the whole way the thing is handled, communicated, and just the readiness that they have to just remove somebody for, what I guess is political speech. It's like, why are you even trying to remove the person? For being too provocative? I don't know. It's just, the whole event is just a shit show. That's pretty much. I hope to God this is better tomorrow, and I hope that they fix some of the stupid stuff that they're allowing in there, because this is an embarrassment to Politicon. I've been watching this since 2013, every year, 2012 or 2013, and this is an embarrassment. You can do better than this. Anyhow, that's all I have to say. That's my rant, and I will evaluate the Jank versus Tucker Carlson quote conversation end quote. It's going to be a debate, but that's what they call it, a conversation. And then you got Sam Cedar versus Charlie Kirk, and oh boy, I hope Charlie Kirk, he dials it down a little bit. Who even knows if that debate's going to happen after it was just after how it's handled. Like, I mean, my God, Charlie Kirk just he kind of embarrassed himself there. I will say that. So, like I said, I think he won the debate, but he really embarrassed himself. You know, far more than Hassan. Because Hassan's just going to come out of this like, people are going to have their opinions on him, like the Young Turks. They're not going to change. I was watching actually a left wing stream, and it's funny because someone was reposting Venezuela or whatever, making fun of Venezuela being used as an argument, which, you know, I mean, it is an argument for how socialism ends up. It's like you can debate how Nordic countries became like that, but then again, it's like Hassan Piker was talking about Somalia, and it's like that's just as overused of a point, if anything. So, yeah, anyhow, I was watching this on a leftist stream, and it's like Hassan, he's gonna draw what opinions he draws. Like nothing about him changed. But what Charlie Kirk did was, I think he really went over the edge and kinda. Because, I mean, he was known as kind of a chill guy. Like last year, what it looked like was Hassan Piker was just an over eager, immature punk kid who didn't understand what he was talking about. Um, and Charlie Kirk looked like the calm adult in the room who had to, talk to the kid. Now he just looked like, someone's angry stepfather wanting to give somebody a beating. Like it just looked terrible for him. Um, you know, and people will probably think differently about him after this. I don't think, like, character wise, he came out better, you know, and, that's disappointing. It's like, I hope he does better in his debate with Sam Cedar and any other panels he's in, and shows that he is, you know, like, he doesn't have to go to 10 on the emotional scale. But anyhow, like I said, that's my rant, and I will be here to comment on both of the debates tomorrow. And thank you guys for listening, and God bless.